You know what? I'll just say this. Is the grocery store gonna get mad at me if I complain about the carts not being returned?
Wait, what?
Like if I come on the podcast and complain about something or talk about something, am I supposed to talk about no people, places, or things while I'm here?
Honey, you've got a big storm coming.
Hello everyone, how are you today? I think this is the third episode where I am wearing my unfinished Riggies cardigan, which is a pattern by Gudrun. It's published in a book she wrote along with Mary Jane Mucklestone. I love it so much. And I'm wearing it today unfinished still because I wanted to show you the mistakes that I have made. Well, mostly just one. Hello everyone, how are you today? I hope you're having a really good day so far. Editing Taylor here. I don't know where that aggression came from. I think I just fumbled the intro and then maybe I was mad at myself. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. If you are new here, my name is Taylor. I come to you from Baltimore City, Maryland. And here on my podcast, I usually talk about knitting and spinning. I have not done much of either of those this week. I've fallen into a pattern of doom scrolling, but I'm moving past that. And I have so much to talk about. So the first is this, which, as you might recall in a recent video, I talked about how I wanted a deeper yoke / upper arm, and I executed that as I mentioned. I tried it on. I haven't seamed it up yet because I'm gonna rip this entire sleeve back and reknit it. But I wanted to show you what my thought was and how it executed and why I'm changing my choice. And I'm actually a little overheated right now, so I'm gonna go through this quickly. But the Riggies cardigan, if you don't know, it's worked in pieces and then it's seamed up the side, along the shoulders, along the center back. You cast on and knit, the longest row, and then along the shoulder edge you wrap and turn, and that is the shaping along this shoulder here. And what that gives is a very sloped shoulder, and essentially this is a seamless drop shoulder design in a sense that the upper arm begins way off the side of the shoulder, so it's dropped down the shoulder, but there is a unique shaping to that shoulder. So it has this rather aggressive slope. And it didn't occur to me that combining that aggressive slope of the shoulder along with a deep upper arm circumference would give a very heavy and low-hanging shape. So I'll just try to stand up and show you a little bit of what I mean. And it's not particularly bad, but I don't think that it really gives anything extra to the design. Like, I don't think it's better for it. I executed the second sleeve exactly as the pattern is written. So I only I only knit the same number of stitches the pattern calls for, and I worked the decreases in the same, as they were written, in the same ratio, I guess. And I haven't stitched this together mainly because I want to make sure that I do them exactly the same. And even though I think I followed the instructions, you never know when you make mistakes. As long as I compare one sleeve to the other sleeve and I know that they match, then I know I'm gonna have two sleeves. So I just don't trust myself enough to follow the instructions a second time. Here you can see that the upper arm, it's just a regular upper arm circumference. In fact, it's a little narrower than you can see because I haven't stitched it entirely. It's a little snug with a full length sleeve shoulder sweater underneath it. And so I can see this being a really good layering piece for a lot of short sleeve things. Like, this will be great in the spring or even chilly air conditioned summers to throw over anything. And it's very casual. And I think that without increasing the number of stitches to work the sleeves, I will definitely have the yardage I need to apply the pockets, which are kind of like I don't know if they use this term, but like an afterthought pocket. You don't really have to incorporate it at all in the original knitting of the front panels. It's kind of a pick up and knit type of situation that's sewn along an edge and worked at an angle. So I'm excited to have pockets. I should have steam blocked the collar. I have not steam blocked the collar, but I did steam block each of the 4 panels before assembling, and I steam blocked the sleeve I've finished, mostly because I didn't want such a 4-season garment to have sleeves accidentally too long, and garter stitch can very often kind of stretch out, especially if it's a big thing. It is heavy, it has a lot of bounce to it, there's a lot of room for those stitches to stretch in both directions, whether it's widthwise or long ways. So I did steam block this, and I made sure it was the exact length I wanted. And another thing too is that once I did the last decrease, I just knit my sleeve without any shaping as long as I felt I needed to, and then did the ribbing. So that's one reason why I haven't stitched this together, because I want to know exactly how many rows I worked on my first sleeve after the last decrease before the ribbing. I feel like my bangs are both exactly how I like to wear them and also too long at the same time. Like that's the issue I'm having right now. Anyway, that's not why you're here. I have new yarn. I'm very excited about this. And I will say that I have a lot of thoughts. Number one, around this time last year, I became a budgeting queen. I opened a spreadsheet. I imported all of my transactional data from my credit card. I sorted it by description. I calculated how much I spent at various retailers. I calculated how much I spent each month on utilities, any necessity expenses like gas, phone, utilities, as I said. And I also calculated how much I spent on luxury items, meaning things that I bought, but I never needed to buy. I took an analytical look at how I spent my money. And it was at the same time that I was kind of doing a no buy, low buy in terms of yarn and fiber, because I've just accumulated so much. Did I buy yarn on occasion? Yes, I think it was last year in around November on sale. I think I got a significant discount on this Knitting for Olive yarn, which I've never knit with before. It's the 100% merino. If you're familiar with this yarn base, it's very fine. It's really constructed to be held with silk mohair because so few patterns are released in such a fine, light, fingering weight yarn, although there are, because this yarn is quite popular, and so you'll find patterns for just this. But I have been thinking a lot about, okay, I'm kind of jumping ahead, but I've been thinking a lot about acquiring a sweater quantity of silk mohair because number one, so many patterns call for 2 strands held together, at least one being silk mohair. And 2, I can't spin silk mohair. And I don't think I have a third reason, but it was on sale. I did buy it, so I'm excited to show it to you. All of that to say, I am doing more than just a low buy, no buy this year. For the entire year, I'm creating a challenge. I don't know that I'm going to call it anything or market it as a thing that we do together, but I hope we might do it together if you're interested. I would like to spend as little money as possible in the US economy. I won't go into the details of why, but you may already know. And alongside that promise to myself, mostly, more than anybody, I'm also going to allow myself to buy yarn and patterns and support the knitting community. I'm sorry, I didn't even get the silk mohair out yet. I have wool on my face. Okay, so what's the plan? My plan is to continue my monthly budgeting strategy, which is number one, at the end of the month, sometimes before the end of the month, because that's when I scare myself straight and I get myself back on track if I'm ever off track. Number two, I sort my data. I categorize my expenses. I'm knowing where my money's going. And what happened when I did a low buy, no buy yarn and fiber, what ended up happening was I was spending that money I had available. If I wasn't saving it, which I was better at saving this last year, I was spending it on other things like skincare or makeup or eyeglasses or whatever, stuff I didn't need. So I'm trying to do what I set out to do last year, but with a different strategy. And I have a couple tools that I'm using that are making that possible. And I realize that not all of those tools are available to everybody. But one major way, and this is major for me, and I hope that it is available to some of you, and maybe you'll consider it if not already, but I have a high deductible healthcare plan. And with that, my employer allows my access to an HSA, a health savings account. A health savings account is valuable for three reasons. One, you are not taxed on any of your income that you have put straight into that HSA. So that is going to minimize the amount of money I pay into federal and state taxes, which I'm very happy to do right now. That plus, I think once you might need to have a certain amount of money in that account, but that money can then be invested, which maybe is putting money into the US economy in a sense, but if that money is invested, which you don't have to do, but if you choose to, you could invest that money and it could hopefully grow over time. And then the growth of that investment is not taxed later on. So there's like a three-pronged benefit to an HSA. You're not taxed on the money you put in from your paycheck, you're not taxed on the growth, and you're not taxed when you take it out, like you would a 403b or a 401k. And then I'm also going to spend minimally and save what I can. So I'm saving through my HSA, I'm saving through my 403b, which I have access to. It's like the first time I have my own retirement account for more than a few months, which I'm very excited to have. I mean to say pre-tax retirement account. And I'm going to pay as little in income tax as possible because I do not like what is happening here in America. But I'm not going to go to federal prison or have my wages, garnished because, it's illegal to not pay taxes. But anyway, and so I would like to not buy things that I already have. So I've taken a personal inventory of like the things that I've been enjoying buying lately, like cosmetics and skincare. And I'm very lucky that I do get sent things for free to review. And so I have a stockpile that I've grown that I'm exclusively using from. And then I'm going to take the best care of everything I currently have. So all of my cosmetics, I'm wiping them down, I'm polishing them up, I'm making sure that they are in the best possible state so that I feel good using them, because nothing's worse than just like having a mess in front of you. And I feel like it's so easy for us to acquire more and more new things and cherish the new things and maybe devalue the older things. But I want to pull everything back, take an inventory of my space, clean my spaces, and intentionally put back everything that brings me joy and take care of it and keep it, somewhat honored and cherished in a very intentional place. But I'm doing a 10-month challenge for myself to try to spend less money and at the same time with that discipline and with that motivation of keeping money out of the US economy, I am choosing to invest in more yarn and possibly more fiber by buying from small businesses. And so prior to kind of coming to this conclusion that this was my intention for the next 10 months, I already placed an order for silk mohair that I found on sale. And I couldn't pass it up because I had been thinking about buying this for quite some time. And when I got that email, I think it was Valentine's Day, I just wanted the yarn. So I'm going to open this package. It's going to be very crinkly, but this is where I purchased the yarn from. Very few retailers even carry this base of yarn, although more and more do all the time. And it's the Isegar silk mohair yarn, my favorite mohair. I've knit with at least 3 mohair brands, and this is the #1 top favorite silk mohair yarn, the only one I will go back to probably again and again. Again, though, I have not knit with many, including knitting for Olive. If you happen to have knit with both silk mohair bases, I would love to know what your thoughts are, if you would compare them. I know there's at least one resource online. It's a website where they blogged all about every silk mohair yarn they've ever knit with, and they compare and contrast all of them. And that I found very valuable, but nothing really beats a hands-on experience. So here it is. This is, I think, color 22. Yes, and different retailers will call it different colors because the brand itself only markets it with a number value. But what you don't see on camera here is how lustrous the silk truly is. It's one of those yarns that appears differently in sunlight versus indoor cool or warm light. I'm not sure if what you see on camera is the most true expression of this, but I will hold it alongside the Knitting for Olive. This is the colorway Dark Ochre, and it's a little darker, of course, than the yellow because they're not the same color, but I think that of all the silk mohairs, this one will be very nice held alongside the Dark Ochre. It might have a little bit of a heathered effect, or a little bit of a marled effect, but very excited. I already know what pattern I'm going to knit this combination of yarns into, but we will cross that bridge when we get there. I have 2 patterns that I want to cast on, and another I just want to mention briefly. So I'm knitting the Riggies still, obviously, but my goal is to have this finished and worn in my next video, and this will be the last time I wear an unfinished cardigan. I'm still knitting the Chained Oblivion by Kelcey Garner. And Kelcey, if you don't follow her on Instagram, you wouldn't know, but maybe you should. She is hosting, I think, a knit along. It might be a knit along, but she is featuring on her Instagram there, you know, those when you go to the profile and there's those circle icons and it's like saved stories. Do we have a word for that? I don't know. But she has saved her stories of featured Muslim knitters, whether they are designers or yarn suppliers, but she's featuring Muslim makers. I think that Ramadan starts this weekend, if it hasn't started already. It's like right now, and it's about a month long. I think it's a lunar cycle, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And so for the month of Ramadan, she is featuring those makers and doing a knit along, and because I'm already knitting Kelcey's gorgeous design, of course I'm going to participate in that. And so this will be my chief focus when I am home and in the evenings. And the reason I'm not making this project, although it is only 200 grams of yarn at the moment in its working mass, every 8th row is complicated enough that it's not the most travel friendly. I really like to cast on a project right now that I can take with me on my commute to work. I had to put my hair up because I got sick of looking at it all crazy. Anyway, where was I? But I want a travel-friendly project, and so I have two in mind. I didn't grab the yarn for the second one, so I'll just mention this one today. I received this lovely surprise in the mail. When my father passed away, my cousins got together and purchased a whole box full of yarn from Jill Draper, who's one of my favorite yarn suppliers here in the Northeast of the United States. And I don't know if this is the Sport or DK. If I measured the yardage, I could tell the difference, but truly it doesn't matter. And if it were either, I could make it work. And so I'm going to use these two skeins. I think they're 100 grams. And whether it were the DK or the Sport, I'd have more than enough yardage to knit the Bifurca vest. The pattern I mentioned in recent videos by Teti. Teti's last name is escaping me again. You probably are screaming her last name at me because she's so popular here online, and she has a very nice podcast, which is really, I mean, you can't ask for more from a knitwear designer that will talk all about the construction and the shape. And, you know, it's nice to see the actual designer wear and discuss like all of the elements of making something. So I really do enjoy her podcast. But anyway, I'm excited to cast on and knit with this remnant skein. I don't even know what this is anymore. It looks a little bit heavier than DK. And I should probably, this is gonna be a theme on my videos, I think. I should weigh it, make sure I have enough. So really quick. I can't express how valuable this little scale has been in my life. I never had such a accurate scale. This is 38 grams. So we're gonna have to do a fact check. I'll just put it on the screen because I don't have my iPad nearby, but I will fact check on whether I have the right yardage for using this as my contrast color. News flash, I don't. So I think I'm gonna use this. It's gonna be like very warm, very rich, and I don't hate it. Ooh, I was looking for this lid. We are going to cast this on. I think this weekend. I think I need to skein this up and cast this on because I do need a travel project. I mentioned my walk is only 5 minutes and my commute is only 15. But where I really need my knitting is the bus that I take home. It runs every half hour and it's 15 minutes late. I'm standing there for 20 minutes and it's so frustrating just standing there. Like, I think that's why I've been scrolling on my phone so much, because I start the scroll and then I'm invested in a story or I'm invested in the news and I need to know everything about the news because one source isn't going to tell you everything. I get invested in something and then by the time I get home, I just can't stop. So I just fall into a rabbit hole of information. Speaking of, I wanted to mention this on my episode this week because I got a couple comments on my last video about all of the corruption being exposed. And I have no idea what they're talking about. Like, what exactly, other than the clear and present danger of this Orwellian fascism taking over our pseudo-democratic process here. Something I'm actually excited to share is that there is a podcast I just discovered. It's a YouTube channel, and I don't know anything about this channel except for their coverage of the Karen Read trial. Had you been following the Karen Read trial? Like, did you watch it when it was happening? I would love to know because I watched every hour of the Karen Read trial live streaming. Like Emily D. Baker, obviously, I know some of you enjoy her channel on YouTube. She was covering it. A lot of different lawyers on the LawTube sphere have been covering Karen Read, and there's a lot of things going on right now in the court system that is the continuation of that process, because if you don't know, if you didn't follow Karen Read, you are missing out on the most epic display of injustice. Long story short, which is going to be really hard for me because I get so deep into the details, I lose track of what I'm saying. But it is the story of a corrupt Canton police department where Officer John O'Keefe was found dead on the lawn of a fellow officer. And I don't know how to, okay, this is where I'm going to go on a tangent and I don't want to. A woman named Karen Reed is on trial for his murder. She is not guilty of his murder. And there is a lot of factual evidence to prove that there's a lot of weird stuff happening or not happening in this investigation. And that is what I find fascinating, because it's one thing to be in court and prove, a case with evidence and, also following the story in the media and discovering evidence that's not admissible in court versus what is, and knowing the difference. I think that's fun to kind of decipher and understand, because you never know. You never know when you're going to be Karen Reed and someone is saying, you need to be held accountable for something you never did. So anyway, she is on trial again because the jury could not agree to a lesser charge. And so basically the plan per the prosecution is to go back to court and to relitigate the entire trial all over again, which Karen Reed does not deserve. The reason I am even on the subject right now is because I discovered this new to me channel. It's called Truth and Transparency. Again, I don't know anything about this channel, so if there's something weird about them, just please forgive me. I didn't know. I'm just really invested in the Karen Reed storyline. So that's what matters to me the most. And it's very fun. It's very Boston, I'll say that. It's just very New England, very Boston. I think she said in a live stream, she said something about the Patriots, and I'm like, oh my God, we're a Patriots fan. Of course we're a Patriots fan. But where is I going with this? It's interesting. And she, I don't know anything about her yet. I will figure it out. But it sounds like she is a data analyst. And she had been reviewing in recent days the Apple Watch data of, what's her name? Jen McCabe. Jen McCabe was wearing her Apple Watch the night of the incident of John O'Keefe's death. My opinion, allegedly, conspiracy. She's involved, okay? She'll tell you she's not, but she's involved somehow. Her and her husband. Her husband mostly. Her Apple Watch data and her phone data do not align. They are not in the same place at the same time. They're not moving at the same time. They're not doing, no. There's a lot of lies here. And they are on the stand in court under oath. And so one thing that Karen Reed's defense lawyers didn't have in the first trial, that they will have in the second trial, is every person's testimony in the first trial, which then lends itself to comparing that data, evidence, like her Apple Watch and all of the cell phones, which most of the cell phones were intentionally destroyed by the people that owned them. So that is insane. Who would do that? Especially a cop. So it's just nuts. That is it for this week's episode of the Threadsmen podcast. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you want to find me on social media, my name is Taylor E. Owen on Ravelry and Instagram. You can find me over on TikTok as Taylor Knits. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and that you take care.
Brother, there is virtually nothing we can do about American foreign policy decisions. Okay? Nothing. Do you understand? Nothing. It is not a democracy. Please, make no mistake. There is no democratic process here. There is no morality here. I'm using this as an opportunity for everyone to recognize the reality. Okay? Recognize the reality. For years and years, I have been critical of American foreign policy for being so violent and so cruel and not even caring remotely about the humanity of the people that we just use like a dish rag. Joe Biden over Ukraine? Of course Joe Biden over Ukraine. Yes. And Trump is basically just full tilt finishing the job.
Very fair deal. And we look forward to getting in and digging and working and getting some of the rare earth. I spoke with President Putin, and we're going to try and bring this to a close. It's something that you want and that he wants. We have to negotiate a deal. Until we came along, the Biden administration didn't speak to Russia whatsoever. If I were president, this war would have never happened.
Because he would just give it up.
We would have had a deal negotiated for you without having to go through what you've gone through.
I believe the reason that Donald Trump says that this war would be over within 24 hours is because he would just give it up. And that's not who we are as Americans. Let's understand what happened here. I actually met with Zelensky a few days before Russia invaded, tried through force to change territorial boundaries, to defy one of the most important international rules and norms, which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity. And I met with President Zelensky. I shared with him American intelligence about how he could defend himself. Days later, I went to NATO's eastern flank, to Poland and Romania. And through the work that I and others did, we brought 50 countries together to support Ukraine in its righteous defense. And because of our support, because of the air defense, the ammunition, the artillery, the javelins, the Abrams tanks that we have provided, Ukraine stands as an independent and free country.
Now we want to get it over with. It's enough, right? We want to get it over with.
The entire press conference that's taken place here, this entire meeting that's happening here, is happening on the backdrop of Donald Trump's insane actions in terms of foreign policy, voting alongside Russia and North Korea and Belarus to say they're not condemning Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which was already a symbolic gesture to begin with. Donald Trump is calling Zelensky a dictator over and over again, saying he sucks over and over again, saying like we're going to take all your minerals.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. President. Thank you for invitation. Thank you for invitation. Thank you for invitation. And really, I hope that this first document, will be first step to real security guarantees for Ukraine, our people, our children. I really count on it. And of course, we count that America will not stop support. Really, for us, it's very important to support and to continue it. I want to discuss it with details further during our conversation, and of course, the infrastructure or security guarantees. Because for today, I understand what Europe is ready to do, and of course, I want to discuss with you what United States will be ready to do. And I really count on your strong position to stop Putin.
If Donald Trump were president, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv right now. And understand what that would mean, because Putin's agenda is not just about Ukraine.
And you said that enough with the war. I think that is very important, Ben, to say these words to Putin at the very beginning of war, because he is a killer and terrorist. But I hope that together we can stop him. But for us, it's very important to, to save our country, our values, our freedom, democracy, and of course, no compromises with the killer about our territory.
Look at this asshole, by the way. Every moment of his life, like we know who this demon is, okay? And we know who this demon is. He's just a brown noser. But this demon is still very much an old school American war hawk. He has an image to project. And he's just sitting there, okay? Pants riding all the way up.
The States, and we need licenses for quick production of air defense. Even after the war, we need our nation to be calm, that we are secure. So that's why we need this air shield. And of course, about this, I want to speak about the contingents. I think that France and UK already spoke to you. And we know that Europe is ready, but without the United States, they will not be ready to be as strong as we need. And the last point, last not least, about exchange, about our people and children. And you know that these crazy Russians, that they stolen 20,000 of children, Ukrainian children. They changed their names, they changed their, their families, relatives, and now they're in Russia. We want to bring them back, and really, it's a big dream, task, and goal for me, and our warriors. That guys, just you before and after. And you see before and after, just you to understand. Now thousands of such guys, ladies and men, there, and that, so they don't eat, they beat them, and they, it's a lot of, bad things.
By the way, I do want to mention something here, but these guys don't care. They don't care. You can literally show the brutality in and the previous administration didn't care either. They just used it to, keep saying, no, we're on the morally correct side here, but also give us the minerals, please. Like, that would be sick. But that's it. They didn't care either, but they at least operated on the boundaries of caring. They didn't care, but they at least would use it as a way to explain why they were aligning with Ukraine in the way that they were aligning with Ukraine. Donald Trump, on the other hand, does not give a f. You could show him open graves from Buka, and he would just look at it and be like, I don't care. You shouldn't have had people there. You shouldn't have had people there ready to be invaded and killed. He just does not care. He is an animal.
Even during the war, there are rules. Everybody knows there are rules during the war. So these guys, they don't have any rules. You see that 50, 60 kilograms left, and a lot of such things. And I didn't want to show you what the changes with images of children, because I will share with you. I mean, it's looking tragic.
Yep, it's tough stuff.
I wanted very much to give you, and you see it.
Yeah.
This is pastor, by the way. They stolen pastors because it's not Russian church. They stolen pastors and moved pastors to the prison. We, at the end of last year, we brought 3 pastors, and we could exchange them. But this is pastor, you see.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah. So I mean, this I wanted to show you, and this. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
We want to get that ended, right?
Yeah. Of course, we will.
And I think we will. And
we have to, of course.
Do you have any questions, please?
How does this provide long-term security for Ukraine?
Well, we don't know exactly how much, because we're going to be putting some money in a fund that we're going to get from the raw earth that we're going to be taking and.
Yeah, so the raw earth. Oh my God, why am I saying raw earth now? I love that he says it Why has no one stopped him? He's talking about raw earth. We're gonna extract the raw earth. Initially, I thought the way Donald Trump presented this, I thought that he meant, he's getting 50% of their minerals, rare earth minerals, not raw earth minerals, specifically for all of the weapons that they've sent thus far. Now, it seems like it is for the additional weapons that they might send to Ukraine, except according to Caitlin Collins, who was in the room, no deal was signed. So we don't even know if that's currently on the table.
They have among the best in the world in terms of raw earth. So we're going to be using it for all of the things we do, including AI.
Donald Trump has floated the idea of America taking over the Gaza Strip. He's said he wants to make a resort there.
The president said recently that he's not actively pursuing that idea, but then on his Truth Social account, he shared what appears to be an AI-generated video. Take a look.
You free, bringing the light for all to see. No more tunnels, no more fear. Trump Gaza is finally here. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new life. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza #1. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new life. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza #1.
We're going to be using it for all of the things we do, including AI and including weapons and the military, and it's really going to very much satisfy our needs. So something that just worked out really well. We have a lot of oil, and we have a lot of gas, we have a lot, but we don't have raw earth. So this has just about every component of the raw earth that we need.
He keeps going. He just keeps saying raw earth. The disgrace of the U.S. is extorting an ally for its minerals while we are under attack from a brutal dictatorship. You're suggesting that Biden and Trump are essentially the same? That's a gross mischaracterization of reality. Brother, what are you talking about? Biden and his team also were quietly, like, read reports on this, please, from American news outlets. Biden and his team also were trying to do the same exact mineral deal. Okay? The only difference between Biden and Trump is that Trump is a psycho and will actively undermine Ukraine, even though they are not only the wronged party here, but also the ally in this equation. That's the major difference. Okay? But in terms of like the mineral deals that we're talking about here, it's do you still believe American foreign policy is uniparty? Yes. The broad strokes of American foreign policy is uniparty. Republicans, and this is something that I consistently explain to you guys, and I think it just like gets lost in translation or something. American foreign policy is uniparty. However, Republicans are the accelerant. They come into power and they just pull it all the way. They just go crazy mode with it. The direction is still the same. Republicans just accelerate. And then Democrats, when they come into power, don't actually reverse that trajectory. There are very rare exceptions for this. But beyond like the denuclearization agreement with Iran that Barack Obama put in place, or normalizing relations with Cuba that Barack Obama also did, there are very few instances where the Democratic administration, Biden's administration, that came in after, for example, Trump's administration, Biden's administration did not actually reverse the trajectory of every single thing that the Trump admin had done prior, especially as it pertains to Israel, for example. I think at the end of the day, the outcome was still the same for Ukraine. Having said that, however, the optics do matter, because if America does not even care about presenting itself as like a peacekeeping nation, then all of a sudden our European allies are going to look at that and go, oh my God, these guys are saying it. These guys are going to f us over. They've been f us over, as a matter of fact. People are going to catch up to that reality.
I'm sure that the United States president will not stop support. This is crucial for us. It's important for us. Yes. And Putin, the president, speaks about the people and the soldiers which are dying, but they came to our territory, they came to our land. They began this war, and they have to stop. And I think this is the question, was really the most important question. Can President Trump, I hope yes, with some other allies, to stop Putin, withdraw these enemies, our enemy, withdraw these troops from our land?
I think we're going to end up with an agreement. Otherwise, I wouldn't probably be even here today.
Mr. President, I've got two questions for you. You think ultimately your legacy will be the peacemaker and not the president that led?
This is Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend from literally OAN or Newsmax or one of those outlets, by the way. Those are the journalists who are asking these questions.
This country into another war and ended foreign wars. And I've got a question.
I hope it will. I mean, I hope I'm going to be remembered as a peacemaker. This would be a great thing if we could do this. I'm doing this to save lives more than anything else. Second is to save a lot of money. But thank you, Brian, for that question. It was a nice question. What was your second question?
And my second question for President Zelensky. Why don't you wear a suit?
That's crazy. Like, Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend is sitting on Zelensky in the Oval Office in front of the entire press pool, and J.D. Vance is laughing. The American vice president is laughing about it. There is nothing lower than this, okay? You're getting shitted on by the court jester. Like, yeah, and you can tell it's definitely inappropriate, because look at Marco Rubio, okay? Look at Marco Rubio versus this clown ass.
Yeah, problems.
A lot of Americans have problems with you not respecting.
I don't have such. I will wear a costume after this war will finish. I have more serious things than answer on such questions. I will answer on more serious questions if I can. Yeah, so please, about security guarantees and about just ceasefire. We can't just speak about ceasefire and speak and speak. It will not work. Just ceasefire will not never work, because I'm like a president. I have this experience, and not only me. Ukraine before my presidency, from the 2014, Putin broken 25 times. 25 times he broken.
Trump doesn't like that. Trump does not like that. Do not bring that up. Oh my Lord!
25 times he broken ceasefire.
But he never broke to me. He never broke.
No, you were the president. You were the president. You never broke to me.
Oh, that's it. Nope, it's over. He broke the ceasefire agreement while you were president. Done. It's done. Anyway, let's continue.
In 2016, you've been the president, Mr. President. You've been the president, but he had, of course, not with you, but he had during those periods, he had conversations with our side. And we had Normandy format, you know, the France, Germany, Ukraine, and Russia. And he broken 25 times. That's why we will never accept just ceasefire. It will not work without security guarantees. Security guarantees, maybe President is right about this document and other, but this document is not enough. Strong army is enough, because his soldiers afraid, Putin's soldiers afraid of our soldiers when we're strong enough. If we are not strong enough, if we are empty, if our storage is empty, we can't defend our land. Today, you know, he knows that we have all the world knows that we have meeting. Yes, why he's using ballistic? Putin today using ballistic on our hospitals, schools, and etc. Ballistic. So he knows that we are here, and that President Trump is really have goodwill to stop this war. And you hear now the president. So why he's using? So he doesn't want to stop. He doesn't want. But I hope that we will do it. Really, we'll do it. Security. When we speak about security guarantees, when the Europeans are ready for contingents, they need USA backstop. If there will not be United States, we will not never have any contingents, strong contingents from the Europeans, because they don't want to divide alliance connection between the United States as the main and strongest ally and Europeans. And this is crucial.
Putin's agenda is not just about Ukraine. Understand why the European allies and our NATO allies are so thankful that you are no longer president, and that we understand the importance of the greatest military alliance the world has ever known, which is NATO, and what we have done to preserve the ability of Zelensky and the Ukrainians to fight for their independence. Otherwise, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv with his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland. And why don't you tell the 800,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania how quickly you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator who would eat you for lunch.
Air defense, really, we have big deficit with all these systems, and we need to provide this. We need it very much. Otherwise, Putin will never stop, and will go further and further. He doesn't want. He hates us, you know? It's not about me. He hates Ukrainians. He thinks that we are not a nation. He thinks, and he shared these thoughts, I think maybe with your team also, I don't know. But with all the Europeans, in media, officially and not, he always said that there is no such country, such nation, such language, and such life like Ukrainian. No, he really doesn't respect all the Ukrainians, and he wants to destroy us. It's a very good start, very good, but it will not enough to stop this person.
Russia paid to rebuild Ukraine?
They have to pay. This is the rule. This is the rule of the war. This is the rule of the war. During all the centuries, all the history, this is the rule of the war. Who began those?
By the way, every single thing he said in terms of Vladimir Putin, okay, not caring about Ukrainian lives or even caring about Russian lives, or even the fact that he is supposed to pay reparations is 100% correct. Okay? Make no mistake. It is 1,000% correct. So there is zero things that he said there that is wrong. The problem here is Donald Trump doesn't like that at all, because in his mind, he thinks that Zelensky should shut up, bow down, and basically say Vladimir Putin is, his hand was forced to invade Ukraine. Has it ever been the case that the victor pays reparations? I mean, it's not. You could consider it not reparations, but even like rebuilding. I mean, America did fund the rebuilding of Western Germany. They did. America rebuilt Japan. We did the Marshall Plan. So yeah, even in that situation, yes. America was supposed to also pay reparations to Vietnam, which they never actually followed through on, and that's why they actually created the POW-MIA movement. But that's a totally different story. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. The major difference here, I would say, is that Ukraine is a European nation. That's what's so unique about the new phase of American empire, is that we are doing this to our Eastern European allies. Remember the difference, like America after the war on terror that destroyed the Middle East, turned around and had the audacity to say, look at what Russia is doing. This is so different. This is so different than like what we've seen before. This is a European country that's being destroyed. What is this, Syria? This is not Syria. You can't just destroy Eastern European nations like this. So for a lot of people in Europe, the dynamic is different.
Do you agree,
This is the rule. Putin began this war. He has to pay all money for innovation. He has to pay.
One more question about U.S. troops in Europe. After Russian invasion of Ukraine, your predecessor sent additional troops to Eastern Europe, including Poland, my country. Yeah. Are you committed to keeping these troops on the eastern flank of NATO in the future?
I'm very committed to Poland. I think Poland has really stepped up and done a great job for NATO. As you know, they paid more than they had to. They are one of the finest groups of people I've ever known. I'm very committed to Poland.
What about Baltics?
Poland's in a tough neighborhood, you know.
What about the Baltics?
Dude, that's a crazy thing to say next to Zelensky. Yeah, Poland is in a very tough neighborhood. The only thing stopping any kind of empire action coming from Russia at this stage is just straightforward their inability to do so.
What changed between the first time that Secretary Bessent gave President Zelensky the agreement and today for the signing?
We made a deal. So
what was the deciding factor?
I'm a business person. We made a deal. That's what changed.
A lot of those minerals.
I didn't think we were going to make a deal, and we ended up making the deal, so that changed.
Mr. President, when and how do you envision a trilateral summit with President Zelensky and Putin?
I don't know, but they don't like each other, I can tell you that. Okay. They do not like each other. This is not a love match.
Sorry, just a second. About any negotiations. First of all, I want really to tell you, and I think that everybody understands that war of Russia against Ukraine and Ukrainian people. So these two sides will be at the will be at the negotiation table. Then of course United States, like the strongest partner of the Ukraine, and of course Europe. I think Europe is very important. I want to speak about it with the president. Yes, Europe is very important for us because we really defend Europe for today. All Europeans really recognize that we are defending the line, and they have real life, and our people are dying. That's why they helped us.
Oh, look at his face.
Also, it's about the NATO. Yes, between, like the president said, you have big, nice ocean. Yes, between us. But if we will not stay, Russia will go further to Baltics and to Poland, by the way. But first to the Baltics. It's understandable for them because they've been in the USSR, you know, they've been one of the republics of the USSR, and Putin wants to bring them back to his empire. It's a fact. And when he will go there, if we will not stay, you will fight. Your American soldiers, it doesn't matter, do you have ocean or not, your soldiers will fight.
Mr. President, would you be willing to visit Ukraine, maybe Kyiv or Odessa, which is going to be at the Riggies of the Black Sea?
It was my question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I don't want to talk about Odessa now. Let's not talk about Odessa. I want to talk about making a deal, getting peace. We don't have to talk about Odessa.
You have to come, Mr. President, you have to come and to look. No. We have very good cities. Yes, a lot of things have been destroyed, but mostly cities alive, and people work, and children go to school. Sometimes it's very difficult. Sometimes closer to front line, children have to go to underground schools or online. But we live. Ukraine is fighting, and Ukraine lives. This is very important. And maybe it's Putin is sharing this information that he destroyed us. No, he lost 700,000 people, 700,000 soldiers. He lost everything. Yes. So,
Mr. President, when did you last speak with President Putin, and what did he say that
A couple of days ago.
And what did he tell you that gave you the assurance that he wanted peace?
Well, that's what I do. My whole life is deals. I know pretty good. And I've known him for a long time. I've dealt with him for a long time. He had to suffer through the Russia hoax. You know, Russia was a hoax. It was all Biden. It was nothing to do with him. So he had to suffer through that, and he was able to do that. I'm in the middle of a mess because this is a real mess. It's a very dangerous one. If this doesn't get solved now, it's not going to get solved for a long time.
And now I'm talking with my friends in Poland, and they are worried that you align yourself too much with Putin. What's your message for them?
Well, if I didn't align myself with both of them, you'd never have a deal. And I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous...
Yeah, I wonder why he hates Putin, man. Come on. Dude, what the...
I want to see if we can get this thing done.
Hey, I want to respond to this. So look, for 4 years...
Shut up! Shut up! Who are you?
In the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact
2015.
2014.
2014 and 2014.
Well, 2014.
Yeah. So
I was not here.
Yeah, but
that's exactly right.
Dude, it also is kind of shocking. I do still sometimes get surprised by how little Trump knows.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, the situation the same. The people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed him with gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you are not strong...
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring an end to this.
You should be thanking the president.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Thank you for invitation. Thank you very much.
You should be thanking the president.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to...
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is...
He's like, I'm on Reddit.
Do you disagree that you've had problems
What?
Bringing people into your military?
We have
and do you think that it's respectful
I will answer.
to come to the Oval Office of the United
answer.
States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future.
We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on this
position to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly
this.
what
I'm not
You're
dictating.
in no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
You
We're going to feel very
you will
good.
Feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a
Brown,
good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having
not
cards.
playing
But
cards.
right now, you don't.
I'm
Yeah,
very
you're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're gambling
I'm the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War III.
What do you
You're
speak about?
gambling
What
with
do you
World
speak
War
about?
III.
Have you said thank you once? This
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting,
today,
have you said thank
even
you?
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Thank you for invitation. Thank you very much.
We want to get that ended, right?
Yeah, of course. We
And
will.
I think we will. I think we will. And
We have to, of course.
Do you think your relationship with Donald Trump, President Trump, after today, can be salvaged?
Yes, of course, because it's relations more than two presidents. It's the historical relations, strong relations between our people. And that's why I always began with to thank your people, from our people. And this is the most important. And of course, thankful to President and of course to Congress, but first of all to your people. Your people help to save our people. People, the first. Human rights, the first. This is very, very important. And we are thankful. And sorry for this. I mean, we wanted very much to have only strong relations, and I very count that we will have it.
Mr. President, we're honored that you kept this interview. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you.
For Vice President J.D. Vance and his family following yesterday's fiasco there in the Oval Office with Ukrainian President Zelensky. There's some new video now we have showing the Vice President being greeted by protesters holding anti-Vance, pro-Ukraine signs as he makes his way there to Vermont for a ski resort vacation. More protesters met the Vance family outside of the resort, and the family ultimately had to move to an undisclosed location.
Cheers on the street outside. You have full backing across the United Kingdom, and we stand with you, with Ukraine, for as long as it may take. And I hope you heard some of that cheering in the street. That is the people of the United Kingdom coming out to demonstrate how much they support you, how much they support Ukraine, and our absolute determination to stand with you, unwavering determination, and to achieve what we both want to achieve, which is a lasting peace for Ukraine based on sovereignty and security for Ukraine. So important for Ukraine, so important for Europe, and so important for the United Kingdom. So I'm much looking forward to our discussions here this afternoon. Thank you very much for making the time to come.
With pleasure. Thank you very much, Keir. Mr. Prime Minister, happy to be here. And really, I saw a lot of people, and I want to thank you, people of the United Kingdom, such big support from the very beginning of this war. Thank you, your team. And I'm very happy that His Majesty the King accepted my meeting tomorrow, and I'm thankful that you organized such a great summit for tomorrow. And we are very happy in Ukraine that we have such strategic partners. We signed with you historic documents.
100-year agreement.
Yeah, we have only with you such documents with the United Kingdom. So we're happy, and we count on your support. And really, really, we're really happy that we have such partners and such friends.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lydia.